This is 13 Minutes. I'm Elliot Reeves. My guest today is Rob Begg. Rob, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure to be here, Elliot. Thank you very much for inviting me on. Looking
It's an
forward to it.
absolute honour. Oh, always good to speak to you, my friend.
Likewise, likewise.
So let's start with the basics. A quick introduction as to Mr. Rob Begg and the life that you lead.
Okay. The simple one sentence version is I'm Rob Begg. Professionally, I'm a high performance and mindset coach working predominantly with business owners and entrepreneurs to help them get the results they really want. And out with that, I'm a father to 3 kids, loving partner, loving dad, dog owner, various other roles and so on in my life. But and I like to think increasingly more of an adventurer. So,
More of an adventurer
more
these
an
days.
adventure. Yeah.
Stuff.
I think we're here for not that long. We're here to explore and have fun. So I seek to do more of that. Part of that is better understanding who I am. So that's me. That's the one-liner or the two-liner.
Yeah, no, I like it. So from there then, I mean, just in brief, what was your journey into doing what you're doing just now?
That's a great question, actually. I think trying to find answers for myself to get to improve my own life, and having been in quite a lot of pain along the way, my own journey, got myself quite twisted out of shape, running a business that was quite successful but got quite badly stuck in terms of getting it to the next level. That set me on a journey of study and understanding and reading and trying to find out, well, how can I get my performance to match what I believe I'm capable of, trying to close that gap between what I knew and what felt I was innately capable of. And I went off down many a rabbit hole, read thousands of books, and then eventually met a mentor who really helped me understand how the mind works and why we operate as we do and not as we want, and why we get the results we do, and so on. And I trained with him, and now that's what I do, is I teach other people who they are and how their minds work and what we're really capable of. So
resetting the brain and the subconscious mind, that's your sweet spot, right?
Yeah, basically understanding who we are, and I don't necessarily it depends who you speak to as to who's open to it. But yeah, we're the mind. People have a very weird concept around what the mind is. People think of their brain, and the brain is not the mind. But yeah, changing the conditioning. It's the conditioning that is driving our behavior and our results. So if we want different results, we've got to change the conditioning. And so often I meet people who are trying to change habits and behaviors. But really what you want to change is the thing that's driving the habits and the behaviors. And that sits in the subconscious, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there any single piece of advice that you could give to somebody in order to fast track that process?
Be aware of how you're using your imagination, because it's an intellectual faculty we have that we use all the time, but we're often using it unconsciously, and we're often using it against ourselves. We're conjuring our worst case scenarios. I don't know what went on in your mind today, but I know what went on in my mind. I was thinking, I've not used Skype for a while. What if I can't get onto Skype? And then so I was using my imagination to conjure a scenario that I didn't want. And I think we're very good at that, rather than using our imagination to be really clear on what do I want, and getting connected to that, because there is a connection between what we imagine and what we subsequently experience. So that would be the single piece of advice in the space of words.
I love it. Honestly, I could talk about this all day, but in the spirit of timekeeping,
yes.
How have you been managing yourself throughout this lockdown period?
So a number of ways, really. I have focused. I turned my mind to how I was sharing with you earlier. I had a logistical challenge immediately before lockdown, which meant I couldn't move house. But I turned my mind to, well, how can I be of service to others? I'm focused on serving business owners, and I work with a number of coaches as clients, and people that their business model is predicated on meeting people and meeting them face to face. So I ran a couple of sessions supporting some of my clients and my wider community to understand how they could take their business online. And then I ran a number of free workshops for my community on how to create a thrive mindset rather than a survive mindset. So come out the back of this and thrive rather than survive. So I've been focused on service. I've been focused on creating one of the new products and programs. That's very much part of it. I've also sought to, whilst acknowledging the suffering and the deaths and all the tragedy in all of this, I've also sought to look for the good in it. Because where there is bad, there's always good. And that's not to say I've been dismissing the bad, because, but I thought, well, where is the good in all of this? And the number of conversations I've had, a number of people have said, actually, it's really caused them to take stock of the way they were running their lives. I had one client, he said, I've been spending 31 years going to the office every day and back, an hour and a half in traffic, working towards being able to spend my days like I'm now spending them. And he said, I just don't want to go back to doing what I was doing. So I think in terms of how I've been managing, I've just been thinking about, well, how can I change my model? How can I be of more service? What can I do? And enjoying the outdoors, got a dog, taking a bit more time during the day, a couple of hours at lunchtime to walk the dog. And it's been good, actually.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah. So what have been the biggest, I guess, red flags for you? And what are the things that you're going to look to change in your own business and life?
I think I could do with having some more consistency in terms of how I show up and the value I offer to the world. Getting to grips with social media, and I know you're a bit of an expert on all that, Elliot. But getting to grips with how all that works and how you can leverage that is something that I really want to focus on, so that I can just support more people. I've also changed the programs I run to make it easier to engage with me. Historically, there's been a sizable investment required to embark on one of my programs. So I've shifted that round a bit, and I'm working on some digital products to enable people to put a toe in the water, minimize risk, and actually got some money back guarantees. Just shift my product up a bit and the way people can engage.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
that's good.
What else? I don't know.
Next question is a sort of bigger idea. In what way do you think the world might change as a result of everything that's currently happening?
Yeah, that's a great question. I hear a lot about, which is curious, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, when things get back to normal, and I don't think there will be a back to normal. There'll be a forward to what becomes normal, but there won't be a back to normal. And I'm curious about that because most people have not been happy with their normal. You stop 100 people in the street, and 90% of them are going to jobs that they don't particularly enjoy and haven't particularly enjoyed. They're not getting the results or the outcomes they want, or living the lives that they really want to live. And yet, they're saying, "Oh, can't wait for things to go back to normal," but they don't really want to go back to normal. So I'm hoping there will be a new normal in which people have had this opportunity to really think about what they want from their lives. Because, to the best of our knowledge, we're not here for that long. We're here for life to be enjoyable and the journey of adventure, as I now see it. And I'm really hoping that people will take stock and think about how they really want to work and live, and then take steps to bring that about. I think I observe there's a lot of good coming out of this in terms of humanity coming together. There's a sense that we're all in this together. There's a oneness. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that a lot of that is retained, instead of fighting and blowing each other up and all the rest of it. If we can just understand that we're all human and we should all be at peace, would be great.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think a general waking up would be a great outcome.
Conscious awakening.
Yeah, if you like, yeah. And I think could get into the weeds on this, which appreciate the time doesn't allow. But I believe there's an infinite intelligence at play, and whilst we may not be enjoying the fallout, the planet is healing itself in some way. There's all sorts of healing going on in terms of nature, and dolphins returning to the canals in Venice, and plants growing in China that haven't been seen for hundreds of years, and the sky's cleared up. There's a healing going on, and I think part of that is the healing of people coming together and expressing a kindness and an empathy and an understanding that perhaps has been missed for too long.
Yeah. There's no right and wrong answer to this question because it's ultimately just a belief, and beliefs are really just made up. Do you think that this has happened for a reason?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of deep philosophical question, if you like, but I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe we live in an orderly universe, and everything happens for a reason, even if we don't understand the reason at the time. Steve Jobs that said we can connect the dots looking backwards. But I think there was we've been talking about problems with the planet for so long, and whether it's war or global warming or pollution and so on and so forth, and yet perhaps we haven't been responding as mankind in the way that was required, and this has forced us to. This has been an impact that's forced us to take stock and to do certain things. But the answer is I believe it has happened for a reason. I wouldn't be necessarily conscious of specifically what that is, but I think there'll be greater good come of this, whilst that's not dismissing some of the losses and some of the tragedies. So,
yeah, definitely. What advice or insights would you give to anyone that was just having a really difficult time just now?
So I guess the one thing that I'm most aware of is we're if you turn on the TV or the news is on a perpetual loop, and it's typically the shift is maybe turning a bit now, but there's been a lot of chat about social distancing, and rightly so, and so on. But I haven't heard anything about mental distancing, and I think that if people are struggling right now, they should be mentally distancing themselves from bad news and talk about how terrible it is and what might happen, and recession and economy and all the rest of it. Because if we get emotionally involved in that, or if we just have it on in the background and it's going in and we're not conscious of it, it's going to affect how we feel and how we behave and all the rest of it. So I believe we should distance ourselves from all that. The problem is we get addicted to that, and my recommendation would be turn the telly off for a couple of days, turn the news off for a couple of days, play some music, get involved with your family, think about what you do want, and turn your mind to how you'd like things to be rather than how awful things are and what the implications of that are. So yeah, I think that would be my number one piece of advice.
That's a great piece of advice. I love that answer. I really do. That's excellent. Rob, time is basically up, my friend.
Okay.
It's been an absolute privilege speaking with you. I've absolutely loved this. Where can people find you?
robertbegg.com. It's probably the simplest place. You could find me if you dig about on LinkedIn or Facebook, but robertbegg.com is the easiest place, I think. You can contact me through the website.
Super.
Thanks, Elliot.
A huge thanks for coming on the show and for dropping some massive knowledge bombs and insights. It's been brilliant chatting, and please stay safe, look after yourself.
You too.
And I look forward to catching up with you once you're back in Bonnie, Scotland.
Thank you, Elliot. Likewise, thank you for having me on. Look forward to speaking soon.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers. Bye.